What's up, everybody? The Beatles. Helter Skelter. Welcome. KRWF 95.9 LPFM, Moorhead, Fargo. RadioFreeFargo.org is streaming wherever you're listening. We're going to be pumping, high-quality radio programming to you. Right before me, Side Stage with Trav, 1 to 3. 4 to 5, you got Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. That's your boy you're listening to right now. We talk about cannabis legalization, the benefits of cannabis. You know, we talk about North Dakota cannabis legalization. Now, we got few things to talk about there. 420, we open a big fat bag of cannabis news, and this Thursday's no different. I just got a little red tape to blow through. I just wanted to say ho, 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 and a Merry New Year to everybody. I haven't been sitting in this chair projecting cannabis educational material since 2021. So here we go. We got the legislative session beginning in South Dakota. I'm hoping to have somebody in here soon to tell us what they're going to try to get, happening for medical. Who knows about recreational, but I'm certainly curious about the medical programs they're going to revamp, some sort of, things they're going to fix or add. And I know the people listening to me would also be happy to hear that. And in the new year, 2022, before we go any further, if you've never listened to this show, if you've never taken the oath, or you decide, hey, you should take it again, put your right hand up in the air, put your left hand on the Bible or a High Times magazine, and say, I doth solemnly swear to never call cannabis anything but cannabis, no dope, no weed, no marijuana, so help you God. All right, well, welcome. Again, Canna-Talk ND with Wilson every Thursday. I come cruising in here at 4 o'clock. 4:20, open a big fat bag of cannabis news. This Thursday's no different. Right after me, Stinky Arts Music Mart, Locals on the 8, Radio Madness, Black Ring Ritual. Wraps up your Thursday here at KRWF 95.9. RadioFreeFargo.org, again, is streaming wherever you want to listen to it. And welcome. Happy New Year. Let's see what this year is going to bring us for cannabis legalization, huh? I got some projections we'll talk about again at 4:20. We got a few things we can discuss. I'm a little rusty. It's been 2 weeks, but, that ain't going to keep me out of the magic chair here. I believe cannabis was made by our Creator to do with what we want. And I celebrate the man upstairs at Antioch Church every Sunday at 10 a.m. and just a no-pressure invite to join me if you'd like to shout him out in person. However, just a reminder, I believe, cannabis was demonized by racist capitalist pigs. Just keep that in mind. There was nothing spiritual around relieving us of the benefits of cannabis. It was strictly capitalism. It was projected and pushed by a severe racist. And that, look up Henry Anslinger and his quotes. That's the guy that decided cannabis shouldn't be available for everybody. Not a preacher, not anything in the Bible, but a capitalist pig who was dipped up to his elbows in racial gravy. So again, I promote cannabis as a Christian, as a freaky Christian, to be honest, because I believe it's a natural product that can soothe a lot of problems that doesn't cost much. And I think at the end of the day, that's what's important. This show is brought to you by Black Cottage Alchemy, blackcottagealchemy.com, Black Cottage Alchemy on Facebook. You can go right downtown here to Tochi Products. They got all the Black Cottage Alchemy products you can handle. I recommend, of course, the body butter. It's made with kosher, full-spectrum CBD, and in fact, there's 1,600 mgs of CBD in this sucker. Mango butter, shea butter, cocoa butter, ear butter. Just kidding. Beeswax, coconut oil, colloidal silver, and a bunch of other stuff. This stuff rocks for neuropathy, pain, chemo burns, hydration of the face, neck, and hair, rough feet, toe, and foot fungus. Man, that's going to get you taken care of. Again, go down to Tochi Products. Get you some of that stuff. Show my sponsor some love. And thank you, Black Cottage Alchemy, for sponsoring Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. Again, Orange Records, Tochi Products has the ND for Freedom of Cannabis Act petition. That's being currently circulated. However, it's the 13th, so if you add 9 days to it, that's the 22nd. So we've got 22 days left to wrap up this petition drive. And I have it on good authority, and I just can say it's not going to happen. Not enough signatures were acquired. There's other avenues that both groups in the state of North Dakota will pursue. The legislative session is on deck. Again, I'm hoping to have somebody in here that can tell me about the medical progress and the medical direction that medical advocates for cannabis in the state of North Dakota are pursuing. So again, Canna-Talk ND with Wilson every Thursday, Sunday or Monday, minus the music, on Canna-Talk ND with Wilson on YouTube. Canna-Talk ND on Instagram will keep you up to date. And if you can't listen to it here, Radio Free Fargo 95.9, which I would encourage you to support the best local radio station in the world as far as I'm concerned. However, if that's not the case, again, you can go to YouTube, minus the music, and a couple days after today. Or you can listen to on the podcast platforms, one that's got the word pot in it, and the other one is a fruit. Again, though, I would prefer you put all your eggs in the RadioFreeFargo.org basket and give us love and screw the other guys. Again, welcome for listening to Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. Happy New Year. I'm going to jump into some music here because I think I got all the black tape done. Here is Terrestrial Tango by Mahali, brand new, coming at you. Okay, Terrestrial Tango, otherwise known as TT Phone Home. Mahali, that's 2020, a little reggae for you here. Radio Free Fargo, KRFF 95.9. Check us out, RadioFreeFargo.org, streaming wherever you want to listen. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. That's what you tapped into right now. We're going to talk about cannabis at 420. And in fact, I'm always going to talk about cannabis a whole hour, but at 420 to 445, 450, I give you the week in cannabis. And I talk about what's happened in the week prior. And I don't give you what happened 2 weeks prior. It's a weekly cannabis news show. And maybe sometimes I deviate. I don't even talk about cannabis. That's rare. I'm staying pretty focused lately. And so I wish everybody a happy new year. And hopefully on the cannabis front, I mean, there's already legislation being, pushed and produced. So it'll be exciting to see what happens this year. The talking heads say don't count on anything federally. And I quite frankly don't want anything federally. And my distrust for the government is getting, freakier and freakier the longer I'm alive, to be honest. And I think the power of the state is starting to become a little more important to me. The individuality of a state sovereignty regarding cannabis legalization, and control, because people are going to regulate the snot out of cannabis. We know it. You know it. Now how far away do we want that person, or person's controlling it? Do I want some guy sitting in an office 2,000 miles away in a big fancy building? Or do I want him a couple hours away and I could call him? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I feel like cannabis legalization might benefit the people best if it's done in a state-by-state basis, because we're seeing that already, and there's no hurry at a federal level, because I would imagine there's more money at the federal level to not have cannabis legal. And so when you can legalize it in the states, then at the federal level, you still maintain a certain amount of revenue. But anyway, thanks for checking me out. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson, 420. We open a big fat bag of cannabis news. I was not here last Thursday, and the Thursday before was actually December 30th. So this is the first time I've been up in the studio in this chair talking to you guys about the benefits of cannabis since 2021. So it seems a little weird, feels a little weird, but I'm not going to let it stop me. I hope it doesn't stop you from listening to me, giving you the benefits of cannabis. Again, South Dakota is interesting. Montana has begun selling the cannabis. Mississippi's crazy. That governor's nuts. So we'll talk about him at 420. And I figure, we might as well play a little more music then. And on the end of this, everybody go sanitize your hands, vising up your eyes. And when we come back, we're going to talk about cannabis in a positive light, because that's how we do it, y'all. First up, it's brand new Lucius, Next to Normal on KRFF. 1, 2. Well, slap my grandma and throw punch your sister. That was Johnny B. Good featuring Joe Walsh and David Grissom here on Radio Free Fargo. KRFF 95.9. Right before that was Next to Normal, Lucius. Both of those were brand stinking new here in 2022. I just wanted to mention here, Mr. Meaner is going to be at the aquarium, a.k.a. the Fishbowl, a.k.a. above Dempsey's downtown Fargo, Tommy Goodroad and the Highway Birds. Also Walker Ryder. January 22nd, 8:30 at the doors. 9 o'clock is D-Show at the Aquarium, aforementioned. $8 going to get you up in there. That is a Radio Free Fargo presents. So support local radio and support local music. Also, programming on KRFF 95.9 is being underwritten by Art Riot Promotions. Art Riot will design and print any business or personalized custom decal in a variety of shapes and sizes. Art Riot creates custom engraved gifts and promotional items. Art Riot offers flexible online or in-person consultations. Local in-store pickup or shipping is available for any order. Visit them at 819 Main Avenue in Moorhead. Art Riot is open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Or you can find them online at artriotpromotions.com and also on Facebook and Instagram. Well, without further ado, you know what time it is. It's time to get this show going. So we're going to play this little intro. You guys have heard of it. You know what's coming next. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. Right on the other side of this. Radio Free Fargo. KRFF 95.9.
Yo, it's Wilson from Canna-Talk ND. You know, the super awesome show you're getting ready to listen to. I think you should go and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'll wait. Okay, enjoy the show.
With the super bangs, hey, hello everybody. Hello, Happy New Year, everybody. This is the first Canna-Talk ND with Wilson of the year. So thank you for joining me. And I'm going to do my best to provide you with some cannabis news. Again, I promote the benefits of cannabis. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Certainly not compared to the deaths of sugar, the deaths of fat even, and the deaths of just not even paying attention when you're out there on the streets. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know how many people die from walking into telephone poles a day, but at least 14. So, you know, it's safer to, you know, stay at home and consume cannabis than it is to walk outside and not pay attention to where you're going. Is that legal? Of course it is. I mean, look how many idiots out there making mistakes because they're an idiot. We don't illegalize that. Cannabis has promoted every good decision I feel that I've ever made. Now, it's also possibly influenced some bad decisions that I've made, like, 2 whole bags of those stinking you-know-whose pretzels pork rinds. Those things are the devil, y'all. And cannabis may have made me eat more than I should have. But again, what is the most dangerous? You know, deep fried pork ears for, like 15 servings? You know, maybe that was the mistake, was the fatty pork rind, not the decision to eat them all. All right, well, I digress. Again, North Dakota, cannabis legalization, Indy for Freedom of Cannabis Act was the petition being, pushed. The deadline is January 22nd, but, barring some crazy miracle, it's not going to happen. So, another attempt to legalize cannabis has kind of came to an end here in the state of North Dakota. Legislative session is firing up here soon. I hope to get somebody in here, maybe Leslie Ann Paulson from the Committee for Compassionate Care, to find out, what they're looking to get out of this legislative session regarding medical cannabis. I shout out to the people who worked hard at Indy Cannabis Caucus to get this thing done. They have other plans, and I'll let you know when those come to fruition. The other group is also trying to put something together. However, nothing has, came out of that yet. And as things go further, I mean, we'll just see. But I'd like there to be more medical reform, to be honest with you. To make it a little easier to get medical cannabis. Because the easier it is to get, because I believe cannabis is all medical. That's just point blank. So if it was easier to get that into the hands of the general public, recreational would become less of an issue as far as I'm concerned. Because what is recreational? What is it? So, I don't know. I'm hearing like something. I'm hearing like noises, but maybe that isn't me. I don't know. Maybe it is. But if it is, I apologize for any side noise. I don't know where it's coming from. But I will try to shut her down here. But anyway, Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. We're going to get right into this thing. Cannabis moment. Mississippi Senate votes to legalize medical cannabis. I don't know what's going on. There's definitely a a side noise bugging me. But if it isn't bothering you guys, I'll just keep right on pushing. But there's definitely some frequency in the old whatever. But anyway, let's keep rocking. I can't let my ADD distract me here. The Mississippi Senate voted 47-5 on Thursday to legalize medical cannabis, a move that comes more than a year after voters approved a medical cannabis ballot. The long-awaited legislation, which now heads to the House for consideration, becomes law this session. Senator Kevin Blackwell suggested, Governor Reeves has already threatened to veto over his proposed purchase limits. I mean, this guy, let's just go right to here. Let me see where it is. Here we go. So this is from High Times. Mississippi legislator brings hemp to governor's office, okay? So basically, this governor is a freak. He thinks, now, and he's got all these reefer madness ideals, that 3.5 grams, which is an eighth, is insurmountable amount. He thinks you can get 80 million joints out of 3.5 grams of cannabis. And so now he's wanting it to be cut in half. So 1.75 grams of medical cannabis in the state of Mississippi. And obviously everybody's like, you on crack, Governor. We got to help you. So this Kevin Blackwell, he brought some legal hemp to a meeting with the governor in an effort to educate him on what a reasonable amount of medical cannabis looks like. One Mississippi senator brought in the cannabis. Amidst the many topics that are waiting to be discussed is both the House and Senate have expressed support, but again, Reeves opposes is one of the main reasons for the program's uncertainty. So in an attempt to drive home final details, he arranged a meeting with Reeves as one of the main legislators, and they brought in a small amount of hemp. They spoke with Blackwell, and he said he thought it went well. Now, the governor was receptive, appreciative of the meeting. Hopefully we moved the bar a little closer to an agreement. He was non-committal, so they're going to think about what we said and get back with us. Blackwell believes, at 4 ounces per month is a reasonable amount. I took samples to show him what an ounce actually looks like, what 3.5 grams actually looks like. On Meta, formerly Facebook, I didn't even know that was real. I thought that was just something people were talking about. So, people are already on Meta. Whoa. Reeves wrote that he would absolutely support a medical cannabis bill if it were truly medical cannabis. He argued that the amount a single patient can use per day exceeds what he believes should be allowed. See, and that's the problem we got here. It exceeds what he believes, but he's ignorant. So why are we listening to what he believes? See, that's the problem, but he's in charge, so he thinks what he believes is the truth. The bill allows any individual to get an eighth of cannabis per day. Simple Google search shows that the average joint has 0.32 grams of cannabis. Therefore, any one individual can get enough cannabis to smoke 11 joints a day every day. Now, I don't even know how that makes me feel, but I've never, maybe I'm blowing through an eighth a day, maybe, but maybe I was also blowing through a half gram of meth a day, So, anytime I've ever done a different kind of narcotic, cannabis wasn't even really part of the game. It was just kind of what you were doing, Somebody would come over and they weren't on what you were on, so you'd be like, well, hey, let's just do this, so you won't have a bad time. But you didn't really work. You weren't benefiting from the cannabis. You were just mostly benefiting from the company. You know what I'm saying? Because otherwise, that sounds kind of like a lot. He also expressed his belief that it isn't medical at all if there aren't any doctors involved in the process. Unlike any other drug, but again, when you have something that naturally grows out of the ground, which is how a lot of our medicine came back in the day, there was no middleman, and we didn't have to have a doctor. You know what I mean? We didn't have to have a doctor. We just, I don't know what we did. I guess one guy died and the other guy didn't because he was his own doctor and he was out there, eating the right stuff. Unlike any other drug, this program allows virtually unlimited access to cannabis once you qualify. There is no pharmacist involved and no doctor setting the amount. There's only what legislators call a bud tender serving you pot. He concludes with a wish to reduce the tremendous amount of cannabis that the current bill text would allow. I hope the legislative leaders would see fit to consider reducing the tremendous amount they seek to make legally accessible so that I can sign their bill. So he basically wants you to get half of an eighth, which is like 1.75, which is really stinking crazy to me. And I would imagine it sounds pretty crazy to you. So this from Cannabis Now. Montana launches legal rec cannabis sales. Legal sales began in Montana on New Year's Day, less than 14 months after they voted. So voters legalized the use of rec. Initiative 190. It passed by a margin of 58 to 42, which is not great. It allows adults to cultivate up to 2 mature and 2 immature cannabis plants at home with a cap of 4 mature per household. Edible products are limited to 100 mgs per package. Looks like there's a 35% THC cap on cannabis flower, which I'd say is plenty high. In its first weekend, you guys are wondering, I'm sure. First of all, let me say Chris Fanuzzi, drinking the boozy. What do you got to losey? Founder and CEO of Lionheart Caregiving and Dispensaries. He pulled in $1.5 million. No. Yes. With 2022 already making 15 years of cannabis cultivation, extraction, infusion, and retail sales for the company, the onset of rec cannabis in the state made New Year's Day a particularly memorable occasion. He was extremely excited indeed, said Fanuzzi. It's been super hectic, but there's been a lot of activity, lots of hustling, moving, shaking, and he forgot to put this word in, but I'll put it in, grooving, and getting things done. So, again, he's said there's lots of hustling, moving, grooving, shaking, quaking, and getting things done. To protect Montana's existing medical cannabis infrastructure, only dispensaries that were licensed before November 3rd will be permitted to make retail sales of adult-use cannabis for a period of 18 months. Panuzzi said that on the first day of rec, Lionheart saw a mix of adult-use customers and medical cannabis patients with approximately 30 cars parked at the company's Billings location by 8:30 a.m. on January 1st. There seemed to be a lot of new users, probably half and half, Fanuzzi said. Most people were looking for flower and then concentrates followed by edibles. Because at the end of the day, if you've got flower, you've got concentrates. You know? And if you've got flower and concentrates, you've got edibles. But if you've got edibles, you don't have flower and you don't have concentrates. You see what I'm saying? So it's easier to do business not having such a small restricted customer base. One of the biggest pros is that more people have access to quality medicine that's safe. That's the biggest pro for everybody. And I'd like to repeat that quote if I may. One of the biggest pros is that more people have access to quality medicine that's safe. That's the biggest pro for everybody. It's the biggest pro. So recreation sales only allowed in green counties, which is interesting. Not all residents will have easy access. Under the terms of HB 701, cannabis possession and use are legal, but retail sales are permitted only in those counties where a majority of voters supported the 2020 legalization initiative. Well, that makes sense. I kind of like that. Like in North Dakota, if it gets back on the ballot and we vote, and the lame counties don't pass a majority, well, they don't deserve the tax money of cannabis. They shouldn't be allowed to do it. You know what I mean? They shouldn't be allowed to do it. So I know there's a little fuzz in my headphones. Hopefully it's not translating to you guys. I'm going to try to pretend that it doesn't bother me. But I keep hearing like some talking. I don't know if there's like some ground issue, some ground wire. But hopefully it isn't translating to the listener. But if it is, I apologize, and then I won't bring it up again. Existing medical cannabis dispensaries located in red counties are protected by a grandfather clause and will be allowed to continue operating. Rec cannabis sales can be authorized in red counties with the passage of a countywide referendum. Approximately 380 medical cannabis dispensaries were expected to begin serving adult use customers. We figure on January 1st, it might be a lot of people's first time in a dispensary, so we wanted to make sure that the first impression was right for them. Well, that's really stinking awesome. Betty's Roadside Provisions, which sounds like a great place to buy cannabis. They enjoy the shopping experience. When we look at creating a curated experience, we want to make sure all the years we spent working with other dispensaries and talking to customers all got into Betty's store. So in Montana, the domestic population isn't high, but the tourism effect is incredibly high. So congratulations to Montana. So let's talk about South Dakota. Cannabis is an early theme as South Dakota legislators kick off the 22 session today. There were 134 bills pre-filed this morning as the South Dakota legislature prepares to open its 2022 session. So far, there are 31 cannabis bills, including 25 from the Cannabis Study Committee. South Dakota has approved cannabis medically 70-30 and adult use 54-46 in the 2020 election. But the South Dakota Supreme Court, who sucks under the influence of Christy Don't Gnome, known as Amendment A because it covered more than one subject. Well, that's an argument that a lot of people don't believe. The legislature established an interim committee to study cannabis last year. The panel split into medical and adult use subs. They produced 23 bills that would make revisions in South Dakota's medical cannabis laws, which I guarantee you aren't be any good, and 2 bills on the adult use side. Senator Mike Rolls, prime sponsor of SB 3, that will legalize cannabis for people 21 and older. Senator Jim would levy a 15% tax on cannabis that in-state growers sell to in-state dispensaries. Amendment A, before it was struck down, would have imposed a 15% tax. So, of course, that's going to stay around. So everything else is just tax. Let's see. He introduced 5 bills on his own that generally would restrict or prohibit various activities in the current medical cannabis system. So boo on douche. Actually, Fred Douche should be Fred Douche. Am I right? He would repeal a portion of the current law that says medical cannabis card holders can grow at least 3 cannabis plants. Well, douche is definitely a douche. Boo on douche. The committee has recommended in Senate Bill 24 that 3 cannabis plants be the maximum. Senator V.J. Smith is its prime sponsor. The 2022 session runs through March 28th. Deadline for bill introductions are February 2nd, so we'll keep you posted on that. Last year, there were 478 bills introduced, 283 in the House and 195 in the Senate. So again, we are looking forward to seeing what that is. Now, I've got this story here that I'm going to try to play for you. So this is basically from Kelloland. Teacher's mom accidentally serves as pot brownies to senior citizens. We'll see if I can get this in for you.
His mother unknowingly served his marijuana-laced brownies to a group of seniors. The investigation started after Bonham County dispatchers received several calls about possible poisonings. All of the calls involved people who had been at a card game earlier that night. The brownies were tracked back to Michael Caranda. In court papers, Caranda told authorities that he recently brought THC butter back from Colorado and used it in the brownies, and that his mother didn't know that.
That's hilarious. I mean, poisoning. I mean, what was really going on with them women? Besides, I mean, what, you didn't think your card game got a little better? I mean, what a bunch of narcs, those old ladies. I mean, they deserve every negative effect they got. Sitting there narking on poor Michael Caranda. And if you ask me, I think he needs to be communicating with his mom a little more or move out. Because apparently there's some boundary issues. And there's some unclear expectations between roommates, a.k.a. his mother. You know, and who's going to feel guilty at the end of the day? I would think his mom probably does. And I would imagine Michael's probably in the yellow pages as we speak, looking for a studio or 1-bedroom apartment somewhere other than mom's house. But that is crazy, and I would love, like, if anybody knows any of them women at the card game that got a hold of some of those funny brownies, and I would argue that them women should have had a salad, to be honest. I mean, when you're that old, you don't need to be eating brownies at night, okay? You need to have maybe an orange juice and a CBD gummy, sugar-free. And then maybe laugh a little, maybe have some tea. I would recommend the Bergamot Earl Grey from Tochi Products. That's just me. I bought some today. I can't wait to try it. But anyway, that was just a little entertainment for you. Now, Wyoming activists prepare cannabis reform initiatives. Wyoming is gearing up for cannabis reform. We're not going to talk about that too much. But the data from the U of W shows a majority of residents support cannabis reform and 85% support legalizing medical cannabis. So activists advanced 2 ballot proposals. They need 41,000 voter signatures for each initiative because apparently they need 15% of voters that voted. So we'll keep you posted on that. States, Cannabis Moment, have collected more than $10 billion in adult use cannabis tax revenue, report finds. States that have legalized cannabis have collectively garnered more than $10 billion since the first legal sales started in 2014. Sales have translated into about $10.4 billion in tax revenue. Just wrap your stupid head around that. Again, if there was $10.4 billion in tax revenue for fentanyl or crack. I mean, there wouldn't be any side-related articles? How come I don't read side-related articles of the detriment of all this horrible drugs being sold? Which I don't believe it's drugs. I believe it's just like, it's a natural supplement, that benefits your homeostasis and has an effect on a lot of negative effects in your body. Cancer being one of them. I always say that the only side effect to cannabis is that you feel good when you do it. And everything else is you feel good, so you do it, but the side effects are all horrible. You take cannabis because it's healthy and it benefits you, but the side effect is you feel good. And that seems to be what's been demonized. And so I'd like to change that, to be honest. And when I show you articles like this, and I show you where it's gone. So, in many instances, that revenue is being distributed to much-needed public services and programs, and not services and programs that people are in because they're addicted to cannabis. Feel me? These aren't services that are now required because of all of the cannabis that's being allowed in these states. I would argue that they're probably public services that are helping with the fallout of drug addiction, fentanyl. Vets who are homeless, all hopped up on something they shouldn't be, causing issues that requires public services and programs. So again, show me all these public services and programs needed now because of all of this legal, as you would call it, horrible drugs are now flooding the town legally at the tune of $10 billion in tax revenue. How come I haven't been reading it? Show it to me. In Alaska, half the revenue from adult-use cannabis sales is invested in the Recidivism Reduction Fund and supports re-entry programs for currently and formerly incarcerated individuals. Are you kidding me? More than $100 million has been distributed to community groups and local nonprofit programs that benefit people adversely impacted by punitive drug laws in Cali. Illinois, which has seen its market rapidly expand since its launch, is dedicating portions of tax revenue to mental health services, as well as local organizations developing programs that benefit. Now check this out. The state generated almost $100 million more in tax revenue than from alcohol in 2021. And cannabis tax dollars have exceeded those for liquor every month since February. February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January. We were talking like 12 months that liquor has not been dominated in the state of Illinois. And I guarantee you that the result of that is a healthier, better, kinder Illinois. It just is. If you can handle the gun problem in Chicago. But anyway, in July, state officials put $3.5 million in cannabis-generated funds towards efforts to reduce violence. In Washington state, every $1 billion in revenue collected, nearly $600 million is funneled into public health initiatives, including a fund that provides health insurance for low-income families. Now, you going to tell me that's wrong? You're going to tell me that we shouldn't be doing that? I mean, if you ask me, we should be seeing these numbers with tobacco. In Walmart should be kicking down. I should be reading all these record sales of people, especially in these pandemics, these conglomerates that have pushed out the little guy and magnified the big guy. Why don't we get some of that money? Why doesn't that get funneled? No. Why does cannabis always have to be the human interest related horrible thing that nobody thinks should be around? However, when it is allowed to be around and when it does make money, when it does make revenue, we put it into keeping violence off the streets. Are you stinking kidding me? Oh, God. Why do we not want that in the state of North Dakota? It's beyond me. So anyway, cannabis moment again. Virginia lawmakers divided on releasing cannabis prisoners following legalization taking effect. So, nearly a year after Virginia voted to legalize possession of cannabis, they remain divided on what, if anything, to do about people currently imprisoned on cannabis charges. I can't believe they're kind of muddling through this, So the committee, House and Senate, they tasked with making recommendations with a proposal to begin recreational sales in 2023, a year earlier than initially planned, which that rarely happens. But like last year when resentencing provisions were left out of the original bill, lawmakers said they ran out of time. No, they didn't. I don't trust any of them. I think we need to start clean. Come up with a new way to have people in charge of all of us. So anyway, let's see. 10 people are currently serving sentences in which the most serious offense was cannabis. In all the cases, the people were convicted of transporting 5 or more pounds of cannabis into the state. All 10 are expected to be released in the next 6 years. What? I mean, if that was you, would you think they're not? I mean, they're kind of taking their time, aren't they? I mean, 365 times 6, that's what? That's like 2,000 days? I mean, come on. Another 560 people are serving sentences partially related to a cannabis offense, but have also been found guilty of more serious offenses. Well, I mean, if you're looking at your, expungements to be applied, but you stole cannabis from a woman you raped, maybe that guy should wait 6 years. That's crazy. But they disagreed on how to handle the 10 people serving time solely for cannabis. Why? How? Why? Let them go. Called for legislation that would provide for their immediate release. Attaboy Del Don Scott. Senator Adam Ebbins said he planned to propose legislation that would also require these people to petition for a resentencing hearing and for a judge to decide whether and how their sentences should be altered. He reasoned that it remains a felony to transport 5 or more pounds, even under the new law. He responded, I just visited a medical provider last week, and there were thousands of pounds in there. So, yeah, I think those 10 people deserve a chance to come home. Again, this Del Don Scott not only has a really cool name to say out loud, he seems to be like a guy that's making the most sense. So, the 3 Republicans, meanwhile, have not taken a stance. The Democrats began processing the legalizing of the drugs on a series of party line votes. So far, the Republicans don't say anything. I think whether or not you support cannabis or don't support cannabis, the reality is we already have laws on the books. So I think it's only responsible if Virginia fall under a very well-regulated market. And you know how I feel about well-regulated markets. So anyway, we'll kind of see what happens there. And then I'll keep you posted on Mississippi. That is just crazy to me. And we'll try to get through this. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson every Thursday here on Radio Free Fargo, KRFF 95.9. I bring you the latest in cannabis news of the week, and this Thursday is no different. I'll be back in next Thursday right after me. Stinky Arts Music Mart, Locals on the 8, Radio Madness, then Black Ring Ritual, right directly before me with Side Stage with Trabby. Side Stage with Trab, right before me. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. Welcome. Happy New Year. We're about done with this thing. I'm going to try to blow through the states that could legalize in 2022. However, North Dakota ain't looking good. There are 3 campaigns in Arkansas working to give voters a say. Cali has 2 potential routes to legalizing psychedelics, which isn't this show, so we'll keep moving. Delaware died for the 2021 session following disagreements. So we'll see what happens there. Hawaii has a bill to legalize cannabis that cleared the Senate. It's still alive for the 2022 session, and it's possible that the legislator will move to take it up again. Idaho. How low will you go, Idaho? In Idaho, activists with one campaign are moving forwards to put medical cannabis on the legalization on the ballot. Oh, wait a minute. What's this? Personal Adult Cannabis Decrim Act, PAMDA. I don't know. Seems like if Panda knew about it, he'd be mad. Kansas, a medical cannabis bill passed the House last year, still alive and kicking. Democratic leaders want to go further. We'll see what happens. Governor Laura Kelly, she supports cannabis. She previously pushed a separate proposal. Kentucky ain't looking great. Those guys are so far up in the Bible Belt, but that we don't know. We'll see. Governor Andy Beshear supports medical cannabis. So we'll try to see what's going on with that. Top Maryland lawmaker pre-filed a bill to put cannabis legalization on the state's 2022 ballot. Michigan, we don't care about them. Minnesota, looks like they'll pick it back up again. That was a great measure, so we'll see what's going on. Mississippi, as you know, is all hung up with that weird governor about him thinking an eighth is just too much for a daily medical patient. State of Missouri, currently 2 separate campaigns working to get legalization on the Missouri's 2022 ballot. Nebraska, activists are fed up with the GOP, so they're making another push to put medical cannabis legalization on the 2022 ballot. Those guys are grinding. I love those guys. Senator Anna Wishart, she is just, if she was single, you know what I mean? I got no idea. I'm just kidding. But it's that kind of tenacity and tenaciousness that really gets me fired up because she just won't say no. You ain't gonna stop her. She believes in what she believes. She's gonna keep rocking. So she says, we collected close to 200,000 signatures in 2020, well over the necessary 122,000, only to be kicked off the ballot by a Supreme Court in a 5-2 decision. We learned from the Supreme Court challenge and brought language this time that we believe will withstand any opposition. So she's, I know how strongly this is supported because I drove across the state to collect signatures in 2020 to some of the most rural areas of the country. I was met with support. I collected signatures of cowboys and cowgirls, for example, at a cattle sale. Holla at your boy. Well, anyway, this has been Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. First show of the new year. I'll be back next Thursday, of course. But again, thanks for listening. Still got some weird friction in my headphones. I don't know what that means, but this segment of programming on Radio Free Fargo 95.9 is being underwritten by Teddy's Chicago-style cuisine. Teddy's with a Z brings Chicago-style flavors to Fargo, featuring beef gyros, Italian beef sandwiches, steak tacos, and beef hot dogs. Teddy's is located at 530 6th Avenue North in downtown Fargo. Teddy's is open daily, Monday through Saturday, 11:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Look for Teddy's with a Z on Facebook for more information. Again, thanks for checking out Canna-Talk ND with Wilson every Thursday. 4:20, I open a big fat bag of cannabis news, and that's what we just got into and got out of. I'm going to play a little music. I'm going to blow through a little red tape, and then I'm gonna let you guys, let the babies go to sleep. And we'll let Stinky Arts Music Mark get up in here and do his thing. But here's Invisible Soldier, Sugar Ray. Invisible Soldier, that was Sugar Ray Rayford from the In Too Deep, brand new 2021 here on KRFF 95.9, RadioFreeFargo.org. You were listening to Canna-Talk ND with Wilson every Thursday from 4 to 5. Right after me and on deck is Stinky Arts Music Mark, so stick around for him. This show is brought to you by Black Cottage Alchemy, blackcottagealchemy.com. Black Cottage Alchemy products at Tochi Products downtown here, or odds to ends in West Fargo. They're bringing you this hourly show. So thank you, Black Cottage Alchemy. Again, I'm going to jump right on out of here and let Stinky Arts Music Mark do their thing. Educate yourself so you can benefit others on the benefits of cannabis. I'm going to get on out of here. We'll see you next Thursday. Be good to yourselves. Happy New Year's. David Allen, Judgment Day. Peace.